Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his trusty sidekick.
Hello.
We're taking a look now at a unit of citizen hoplites for the Persians. Yes, that's right, the Persians had hoplites. You have to deal with some things in life that the brain doesn't accept.
They don't count.
Yeah.
They had no armour.
No, they didn't. Right, the Persian army generally looked a little bit more, the regular army looked a little bit more like this, which is nice clothing and a hat and a tiny little shield and a spear.
So they can run.
Yeah, which is great when you're fighting small collective kingdoms of barbarians. Absolutely great, preferably if they don't have a city wall, it's even more fun. Absolutely useless when you're fighting Greeks, because Greeks don't play those sort of games. Greeks are in full body armour with a massive shield and extremely long spear, and they're really good at fighting. So, through Persia's intermingling with the Greeks, the Persians had to put up with Greeks all around the Black Sea as they expanded, and most of modern day Turkey, Ionia. And they had to deal with these Greeks, and they ended up having to fight them quite a lot. Initially, the original Persian king, Cyrus, he invaded, well, I suppose, eastern Turkey, would it be today? Which was run by a chap by the name of Croesus, who was the richest man in the world ever. Have you ever heard the term richest Croesus?
Yes.
That's him. He was really rich. And he had a very posh army, and he caused a lot of... He raised a rebellion against the... initially he joined the Persian Empire. Cyrus was... created the Persian Empire from nothing. He sort of started going to kingdoms and saying, do you want to join? And then when they joined, he'd go to the next kingdom with the other kingdom's army, and then the three kingdoms' armies would go to the next one, and then there'd go four kingdoms' armies, and then you get the next one. And then you had the Persian Empire. But Croesus was in rebellion, and the Greeks, city-states on the Ionian border and up in the Black Sea had kind of already joined the Persian Empire. They were more than happy to join. It meant they got better trade, they got better communications, and they didn't need to go to war with each other as much. So it kind of made sense to join the Persian Empire as long as the Persians left them alone. Now, when Croesus was fighting, Cyrus sent a messenger to the Greek states, the states that the Persia ruled over, and said, send troops now to help, because that was actually what you were supposed to do when you were part of Persia. You were supposed to send a legion, 1,000 men.
Each state owned.
Yeah, but the problem was Greeks, these were Greeks you were talking about, and the Greek states said, yeah, but we actually like this guy. He's never done anything to us. He's rebelling against you, not us. And so they refused to send troops, because they didn't really get the idea of being part of an empire. It didn't really sink into their head. And so when Croesus was defeated, Cyrus marched into the Ionian states, murdered the leaders, executed the leaders, and just like burnt cities, and was really, really nasty. And he also deployed large amounts of Persian soldiers to effectively occupy the countries. So obviously the Greeks aren't going to take this well, so they rebelled. And then you ended up with actual Greek phalanxes fighting against the Persians. And the great Persian immortals, the famous immortals that never lose...
Never die.
Yeah, well, the reason you needed so many of them was because you were fighting Greeks.
And they kept dying because the whole point of immortals, the reason I thought they never died, was because you didn't end up killing one, but then another one would replace him.
Yes, you had someone dressed as a slave who would put on the mortal robes and join the back rank.
The problem is, when you get to the Greeks, and they kill a bit too much, you can't really replace them, and you can't really get rid of the bodies fast enough.
No.
So everyone notices, and it's really embarrassing.
It is embarrassing, yes. So then you have to blindfold your soldiers to march them past.
Yeah.
All the dead bodies. Yes, these aren't some dead immortals. Don't look this way. Yeah, the Persians found themselves having to upgun. It was an arms race. They hadn't invented laminar armour, but they could figure out how dories worked. The dory is the 8-foot long spear, and they could make Greek shields. So instead of trying to figure out a better way of building your army, they just copied the Greeks, and they started handing out shields and spears to.
But they're not trained.
No, they're not. They're citizen soldiers.
So it doesn't help.
No, these are the guys raised up. These guys are from southern Turkey, these are the guys who are. You have to send 1,000 troops to serve the Persian army. Guy knocks on your door. Your time's up. You've got to go and serve in the Persian army for 2 years. See ya. Right, and so you turn up with your little half-moon shield and your tiny little 4-foot long spear, and the Persians take it off you, give you a dory and a hoplite shield, and say, right, now go learn how to fight in a phalanx, which of course they didn't.
Yeah, you got proper need to start doing that. You need a good someone who knows how to use it in the first place.
Yeah.
And the Persians, so
yeah,
they don't have anyone to do that.
No.
So they train themselves. And you
Yes.
can't train yourselves to learn that. It's just not going to work.
No, it takes years of training from childhood to fight as a hoplite. And the hoplites literally learned from the wrong use of the word literally. Sorry, I get at people like that all the time when they use the word literally. Sorry, I'm going to use the word literally anyway. They literally learned from being very young. They actually, yes, thank you. They actually, sorry, I'm really bad for that. They actually trained from being very young. I was about 11 years old, 8-year-old for a Spartan.
Yeah, about to say Spartans train brilliant.
Yeah, the Greeks started at the age of 11. These guys, they were living on a farm or living in a city even. I don't know, cobbling shoes or whatever. Then suddenly, here's a shield and a spear. Off you go, fight the Spartans. So anyway, it was an attempt by the Persians to upgun their army, to try and get some units of the army to be able to deal with the Greeks. Now it's fine when you're fighting in Ionia, because you have the Persian army backing you up for a start. And also you don't usually commit these troops to battle. You have them sort of there for show. You don't commit your citizen infantry. Unfortunately, the Persians ended up having to in the Greco-Persian War. And these guys unfortunately came off really badly. In fact, very few of these chaps ever came back. They were just butchered in the field. Lambs to the slaughter. Anyway, they're armed with a dory, as mentioned. They are levy, so they get to -1 to their morale roll when they're rallying, so it's quite hard to keep them in the field. If they fail in morale, then it's going to be harder and harder and harder each turn to get them to stay. They're light infantry though, so they can evade because they've got no armour. And, well, that's it. That's it. So, yeah, I'll just go by the figures. You may recognise the poses from the figures, that they are actually Dark Age infantry. Dark Age infantry, and then you get a head of a Viking or a Saxon, cut the top of the head off, I hope it doesn't mind, and stick a little bit of milliput on top to make it look a bit squishy to mimic the Persian hat. And the officers have, that's just made out of milliput, the jacket, that's the Persian officers had a jacket they wore over the top of their jacket, which was just so you could see them instantly. And it was also waterproof, so they could wear it when it was raining.
I didn't notice him.
Yeah, well, he's there. I suppose you've seen him from the back, aren't you?
No, yeah.
The officer has to be at the front, and that's the standard bearer. And there's his little sign. Somewhere at the back of the battlefield there's a guy with a clipboard. Oh, well, not a clipboard.
Yeah, who writes down, oh, that...
I just saw that.
Yeah, did well.
Yeah.
Well done. You get an extra point.
And
You have a good meal tonight. Oh no, you're all dead. Never mind.
yeah. So, yeah, it must have been horrible being one of these guys. Actually, when you have to fight...
Not if you're trained.
Well, most of the time you wouldn't actually fight. Most of the Persian army would never actually fight. Because it's so big, only small elements would actually do the combat.
The trained ones.
Yeah, the ones you know you can rely on. And I suppose these are the guys who got whipped into battle.
When things went bad.
Yes, I would assume they were forced to fight. I know a lot of the Median troops refused to go up against the Spartans. They flatly refused. They threw down their weapons. Yeah, because Xerxes made the mistake of sending in the Medes first, so of course that they knew what they were up against now. And when he ordered them back in the second day, they completely refused, and he ordered them all whipped.
Still didn't work, did it?
No, it must have been interesting for the Greeks watching the Persians running around whipping their own soldiers, like beating them up. Like, what are these guys playing at? This is not a proper army. Yeah. So yeah, as a normal citizen, it must have been, soldier. It must have been quite unpleasant if you actually had to do combat. Although being in the army wouldn't be too bad normally, because most of the army was used for construction work, building bridges, building roads, that sort of stuff. So mostly you wouldn't be doing combat. So there you go. Also, the Persian shields were copies of the Greek shield. They weren't as good. They didn't use to the Greeks covered theirs in bronze. Their shields. They were oak planks with bronze over the top, and then linen over the bronze, which you would then paint. Many of these, actually, the bronze was very, very inferior. It was practically tin in strength, and it was just to keep the shield together more than anything else. And there are many mentions of Persian shields breaking, and I would assume it's these shields that are breaking, because it's probably quite hard to break a wicker shield. You can stab through a wicker shield. It's quite hard to shatter a wicker shield. Yes. Like this poor guy here, he's got the wicker shield, right, and that guy's just stabbed straight through him. But generally wicker is quite strong stuff, and it doesn't tend to fall apart, whereas these shields would, and so it's probably them that they're talking about.
Yeah.
So do you have any questions?
I have one.
You don't have many questions for these Greek videos, do you?
They're not Greek.
Oh, they're not Greek. Well, actually, some of them might be Greek.
False.
Yes.
Is that the Persian army symbol on their shields?
Oh, sorry, yes. That there is the Persian bird. I don't know if it's an eagle.
I think it might be an eagle.
It could be an eagle. Yeah, it's to symbolise a big bird. It's Persian. What is it with empires and eagles, like fly things?
Eagles, they're the top of the food chain on birds, and they're more powerful. So if you have an eagle, like the Romans did, on top of their flag, it shows that you're more superior because you have, yeah.
Okay, smarty pants. Well done. I didn't even know that. I didn't even think about it before. Actually, that makes sense.
The Nazis did the same.
No, the Nazis copied.
They did the same though.
They didn't invent anything, they copied other people's. They didn't even invent their own salute.
They copied
the Italians. They went, oh, the Italian salute looks good, let's do that.
Yeah, anyway, they also had the eagle as their flag.
Yes, they did. So did the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, I mean the Holy Roman Empire, the Austrian Empire.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that's about it.
Yep.
Outro.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and comment down below what you think of the Persian hoplites.
Citizen hoplites, yeah.
That's everything from me.
And everything from him. Goodbye.